What is Captain Marvel's favorite type of cheese? Brie. Well, hi friends, welcome to Lassoed Loot Volume 297. I hope where you are you've been staying cool because it's been a hot summer here for sure. I have a lot of great comic books and more fun superhero merchandise to share with you, including more posters, believe it or not. I'm not done with those. That's what's all lined up today in this video, and this is your official welcome. If you're new to my channel and haven't subscribed yet, I hope you'll take this opportunity to do so. I hope you enjoy what you see in today's video enough that you'll want to subscribe, that maybe you'll leave me a comment, and give this video a thumbs up, a like, a heart, because the algorithm digs that. With that having been shared, we begin today's video. Who is he? What is he? The question on the cover of the first book that we're sharing today, from 1981, it's Fantastic Four Volume 1, Issue 234. John Byrne is the entire creative team on this issue, doing the cover and interior art, and he's the writer. I shared Fantastic Four number 233 and some other John Byrne era comic books of FF in my Lassoed Loot Volume 293 video recently. In that same video, I also shared with you some John Byrne autographs that I was able to obtain, including a signature on his latest project, X-Men Else When. If you're a comic book creator signature autograph collector, you know how difficult it is to get a John Byrne signature, and in that video I explain how I was able to. But jumping back to this story, we're introduced to a character named Skip Collins. He has the power to have all of his wishes granted. When he ends up visiting New York City, he sees the Fantastic Four in action against Ego, the Living Planet, and he ends up helping them out. I've been buying some Fantastic Four back issues and have plans to purchase some more, enough so that I'll probably do an all Fantastic Four themed haul in the early volume 300s of Lassoed Loot, so be watching this channel in the future for that. Speaking of Fantastic Four, future member She-Hulk is the subject of a live stream that I'm doing this Friday night on John's Comics with Friends YouTube channel. We're talking an omnibus review of Savage She-Hulk, John, JP Budget Collecting, and myself. So I've been going back and rereading the early She-Hulk Jennifer Walters days. I'm looking forward to this and hope that you can join us for the live stream this Friday, August 14th, 2026 on John's channel. If you're watching this video after August 14th, that live stream has already been archived on my collaborations playlist folder here on my channel, so you can watch it on the rewind. Let's jump over to some Silver Age, a first issue Silver Age. Can't beat that, can you? Captain Marvel, Volume 1, Issue 1. We're going back to 1968 at this point. Gene Colan does the cover and interior art. Roy Thomas is the writer. I ended up getting Marvel's first appearance, Captain Marvel's first appearance, and shared that in Comic Book Editions 135. It almost was kind of like a fluke the way I ended up getting that book. This is his third appearance and the second appearance of Carol Danvers. So I have his first appearance, his second appearance, and his fourth appearance. I got the fourth appearance, which is Captain Marvel, Volume 1, Issue 2, courtesy of my friend Old Wolf, who AOK'd that to me. So I definitely needed the third. This is a lower grade copy, which I was fine with because I really didn't want to sink a whole lot of money into this comic book. Captain Marvel versus the Sentry in this issue. He decides to get involved because Sentry would interfere with his mission, which was to learn about the human race. Also, Marvel's hotel landlord ends up going through his room because he thinks that he's a foreign spy, and he ends up setting off a device inside of his hotel room. I don't know if I'm going to keep going with the other Marvel issues that I need, since I had the first 4 appearances now. Maybe I'll do the 5th, maybe I won't. Not exactly for sure. But happy to have this key into my collection already. This is a wall book. Anytime that you go to a convention or a comic book store and they have this, this is a wall book. We're going to fast forward with the Captain Marvel talk to Captain Marvel Volume 11, Issue number 1. Now we're up to 2019, and the Captain Marvel is Carol Danvers by this point. This is an Alex Ross cover, and it's an incentive variant. It's a 1 in 50. Kelly Thompson was the writer of this series. I actually had this issue already, which I pulled from a Walmart mystery pack, and I shared that in Comic Book Editions Volume 67. The story talks about Captain Marvel, who spent months in space defending Earth, and she now comes back to the planet and is trying to readjust her life to being back on Earth. That's kind of the plot setup for this. I ended up getting this book at a really good price because my copy has, some color rub here on the side. But man, do I love this. I love Alex Ross anyway, but this gives me the entire flow of Carol Danvers' heroic career. We have her front and center as Captain Marvel. We have the original Ms. Marvel costume. Then we have the second Ms. Marvel costume, which is my favorite, the Black Lightning Bolt. That's my jam. Then we have Carol Danvers as Binary. I've been a Binary fan for a while, although when they first introduced her as Binary, I was defiant that I wasn't going to buy that first issue. I wasn't going to support this because I liked her better as Ms. Marvel. That was a young Magic Lasso trying to take a stand back then, which did absolutely no good. Now I've really embraced and picked up those Binary issues that I missed, a lot of appearances in X-Men. So some more Captain Marvel in the collection, but I'm not done in today's video with this character. Captain Marvel Dark Past is the latest 5-issue limited series that Carol Danvers is starring in that Marvel is publishing. I gave up on her previous series, Captain Marvel Dark Tempest, after 2 issues because I could not get into it at all. But I've really enjoyed this Captain Marvel Dark Past and some of the guest stars and some ties that pull from old Carol Danvers storylines. Issue number 1 had a lot of great covers to choose from. This is the main A cover that Lucas Wernick did. I didn't buy the main A cover, but I did buy some of the variants, including one that was, I think it was an art germ with Carol Danvers in the Ms. Marvel Black Lightning Bolt costume, which is my jam. And then I got the David Nakayama color block Binary cover, and I ended up getting that signed by him, and it was the first time he had ever signed one of those comic books, or the first time he had ever even seen an actual physical copy of one of the comic books. So that made it a little extra special, and he even noted it as first signed when he signed my copy. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the Captain Marvel Dark Past wraps up. The cover selection as the issues have gone on have really decreased. As a matter of fact, this last and forthcoming final issue only had 2 covers to choose from, and honestly, I didn't care for either one of the covers. But I have enjoyed the story, as I mentioned numerous times now, so did end up just picking up a cover so I could have the complete set. By the way, have you checked out my latest short, my back issue of the week? It dropped yesterday morning here on my YouTube channel, and it's Marvel Comics based. If you haven't, I hope you take this opportunity when this video wraps up to check out the back issue of the week. I would appreciate it. More posters for you. This one is a promo poster, and this was done for the Fantastic Four Volume 1, Issue Number 3 facsimile. Of course, the original Fantastic Four Volume 1, Issue Number 3 came out in 1961. The facsimile copy came out in 2025. It's a key issue for many reasons, but most notably, as you can tell by the cover, it's the introduction of the Fantastic Car, and the Fantastic Four get their costumes, their uniforms for the very first time in this. It's Jack Kirby artwork. I didn't notice this myself until I read some trivia on this, and it was pointed out, I think in Fantastic Four issue 5's letter column, that Human Torch has 2 left hands on this cover. Who knew? Who noticed? I never noticed. Had you ever noticed that before I mentioned it? But that's what they say. Hope you've been enjoying all of the posters that I've been sharing recently here on my channel. We might have 1 or 2 in the near future, but this kind of wraps up the poster palooza from the last several weeks. Turning to the DC side of recent additions to my collection, Forever Evil Volume 1, Number 1, The Director's Cut. This was published in 2013. David Finch does the cover and interior art, and Jeff Johns is the writer. I showed the regular version of Forever Evil Number 1 in Comic Book Editions Volume 239. So what's different between the regular and this director's cut? Well, nothing really affects the storyline. What you get is the penciled artwork. The entire comic book is presented in its original uninked and uncolored penciled artwork by David Finch. You get the original script that includes writer Jeff Johns' full original comic strip alongside the artwork. You get the production commentary, where the margins and script pages feature notes and commentary from the creative team about the scene layouts, the character designs, and the pacing of the story. So it's kind of a fun extra I think. I have the entire collection of the Forever Evil, so getting this little kind of almost bonus or bonus feature to issue number 1 seemed to be a little bit of a chef's kiss, a little bit of icing on the cake. So I wanted to have it for my collection as well. Pulled this out of a dollar bin. As a matter of fact, it was even less than $1 because I bought so many it ended up being like 87 cents or something like that. Certainly worth the buck that was paid for it. And then today I want to share Starman, Volume 2, issue number 69. This was published in the year 2000. I've heard a lot of people really rave about Starman and how much they love this series. This is the only copy I believe I have from that volume. Andrew Robinson does the cover. James Robinson is the writer. So it's Doris Lee as Starman for a day. That's the entire theme of this, where Doris Lee becomes Starman. And it's a heavy JSA storyline. What is cool is it's a retcon of an adventure that was published in All-Star Comics Volume 1, Issue 15, way back in the Golden Age. Of course, you know, Myra Mason or Mary James weren't present, but they're shown as daydreams in this story. So I thought it was cool, instead of just inventing a whole brand new story, that they went back to a published story and just kind of worked around that published story. Great cover too, spotlighting my girl Wonder Woman, so you know I had to have it in the collection, and I really did end up liking it. So the more I hear of the people bragging on how good the Starman series is, the more I realize I need to spend more time with it. Of course, if you're a DC Comics fan, I want you to join us for the greatest DC Comics show on YouTube, Fanboys Live and the Retro Review, Sunday nights. This Sunday night, 7:15 p.m. Central, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Our special guest will be John's Comics with Friends. See what DC comic character he's picked out for us to use and check out in our retro review this upcoming weekend. Super Friends was a huge influence on me, and probably one of the reasons that I became a comic book collector and superhero collector back in the day. I love that we get retro items like this Wonder Woman Super Friends action figure that was recently released by McFarlane Toys. My friend Brian AOK'd this to me. He and his twin brother are both comic book collectors, and Brian came over recently. You know why? Just to have supper with me, because we hadn't seen each other for a while. He lives maybe about an hour and a half away, and it was great to spend time with him and catch up on everything that's going on in both of our lives. And he was so kind, and he's a very generous person, and just wanted to gift me this Wonder Woman action figure, which I absolutely love. Besides all of the cool packaging on the front, I want to share the packaging on the back, because this alone, to me, is worth the price of the action figure, just to see all of these characters that I just love so absolutely much. Of course, looking at this, I hear the voice of Shannon Farnon. She was the original Wonder Woman voice in the Super Friends cartoon. See this image, I hear Shannon's voice in my head instantly. Thanks, Brian, for AOKing this to me. But more importantly, for your friendship and all of the fun and laughs that we had when we went out to eat recently. But besides this version that was just released, there's a special chase version of the action figure. And this one I had actually pre-ordered. It was a GameStop exclusive pre-order. So I had gotten it pre-ordered. I was worried that it might sell out on me before I had the chance to pre-order it, but it didn't. It's the evil Wonder Woman. Yes, it's just the same figure with a new coat of paint on it. Do you remember the episode of Super Friends where our Superman got sent over into another dimension where the Super Friends were evil over there, and their evil one got sent over here, and there were evil versions of the Super Friends? This is the evil version of Wonder Woman. I even remember the evil Gleek. That was a great episode, and that inspired them to do this version of Wonder Woman as a special chase. So I had pre-ordered this from GameStop, and I had been waiting for the call to come in that it was available for me to pick up. And I saw some other folks online, they were saying, oh, GameStop came through for me, and I got my figure, and I kept waiting, and I didn't get any call. So finally I just stopped over at GameStop just to check in on the status of my order. And you wouldn't believe how surprised I was to see this figure out on the shelf. I'm like, come on, guys. You never called me and notified me that it was in. And luckily no one had bought it before me, so I was able to get it and not miss out on this, because I would have been upset had I missed out on this. But a pair of great new Super Friends action figures, courtesy of McFarlane Toys, is a great way to wrap up today's Lassoed Loot video. You know what's coming soon? Lassoed Loot Volume 300. It is going to be huge. I already mentioned last week that I have a little bit of a secret, well, a lot of a secret, and that's going to come out in Lassoed Loot Volume 300. So I put it out into the universe. I've got to follow through with it. It's something I haven't told really hardly anyone. And you'll find out in Lassoed Loot 300. But we do have more great content coming up before then, including next week's Lassoed Loot video. So I look forward to seeing you. Leave me a comment on this video letting me know what you thought of what I shared. If you have any of it, are hunting any of it, anything that you want to dialogue about is welcomed in the comments section, as your comments are welcomed, encouraged, and appreciated. Thanks for making it to the end of this Lassoed Loot Volume 297 video today, where the hunt never ends. I'll see you soon.